So there have been a couple times this season where after a start, Justin Verlander has really kind of pulled back the curtain and been very transparent as to what he's feeling at a specific moment in time. I remember the start against the A's in Sacramento really stuck out, and it stuck out because it was one of Justin Verlander's worst starts of the season. I think he went like 2 2/3 innings, maybe allowed 5 or 6 runs, just an objectively very bad start. Instead of trying to kind of dismiss reporters and get the interview or get the post-game interview over as quickly as possible, he was very transparent about some of the frustrations that he was dealing with. And over the course of the first 4 months of this season, April, May, June, and July, especially in the first half of July, Verlander had always been pretty transparent about what he was feeling in regards to some of the struggles, in regards to not being able to get a win in the first half, in regards to making tweaks and tinkering and constantly trying to figure out something that worked for him. And that honestly goes all the way back to spring training when Verlander was talking about kind of ironing out his mechanics, doing a couple different things. I remember with his curveball, trying to get more sweep with that pitch in particular. I say all that to say that after today's game, a game in which the Giants defeated the Arizona Diamondbacks 5-1 in 11 innings, scored 5 runs in the top of the 11th after only having 1 hit through the first 10 innings. I say all that to say that Verlander was, again, very transparent, very willing to peel back the curtain and go a little extensively into how frustrating some of those first 4 months of the season were for him. And Verlander, for his part, pitched 7 scoreless innings. I think he only had maybe 3 strikeouts, but it's just a continuation of the excellent pitching that he's done in recent outings. I think in the second half in particular, he is a 2.63 ERA. In his last outing against the Dodgers, that being when Patrick Bailey hit the walk-off grand slam, 7 innings, 1 run when going up against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Hasn't a very interesting stat here. Hasn't allowed more than one in his last 4 starts, more than 1 run in his last 4 starts, and he joins Roger Clemens as the only 2 starters, or the only 2 pitchers rather, 42 years or older over the last 125 years to achieve that. And manager Bob Melvin said something after the game to the effect of, he's passing Gaylord Perry, he's passing Walter Johnson. It feels like kind of every time we talk about Justin Verlander after a start, it's always in the context of him achieving some type of milestone, him breaking some type of record. And when it comes to Verlander, the main point that he tried to illustrate when speaking to us following today's win was that because of the struggles that he dealt with over the course of the first 4 months of the season, a period of time that he discussed as probably the most difficult first 4 months that he's ever had to navigate, he said that in a weird way that kind of makes this current stretch all the more vindicating. And again, it just seems like now, compared to the beginning of the season, there is almost an expectation that Verlander is going to go out and provide 6 or 7 innings, that he's going to match zeros with whoever is on the mound opposite him. And the past 2 games in particular, that has been needed. As I mentioned in his previous outing, he kind of went bar for bar with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. They both ended up having allowed 1 run over 7 innings. And then today it was especially necessary on an afternoon where Brandon Pfaadt had the best start of his career. Pitched 9 scoreless innings, allowed just the 1 hit. That was to Drew Gilbert. Didn't end up with the win, ended up with a no decision in his own right because Spencer Bivens was able to pitch a scoreless 8th, and then Ryan Walker was able to pitch a scoreless 9th. One of the biggest plays of this afternoon unfolded in the bottom of the 5th inning. I think there was a runner on second, Verlander, of course, on the mound, and Jake McCarthy hits a deep drive to right center field. And off the bat, it maybe looked like it could have been gone, but at the minimum, it looked like it was going to find dirt or grass or the wall. It did not seem like it was going to find a glove, but center fielder Drew Gilbert tracks it down in right center field, is able to record the out, gets the Giants out of that inning, and both Verlander and Melvin talked about that being a very big catch at that point in time because, again, as I mentioned with the way that Brandon Pfaadt was pitching tonight, or this afternoon rather, 1 run may have been all that was needed for the Diamondbacks to eke out a win. Now, granted, butterfly effect, just because if they score the 1 run doesn't necessarily mean that Pfaadt's going to pitch as well as he did. But that kind of just illustrates how runs were very much at a premium this afternoon. Now, moving forward to the top of the 11th inning, the kind of game-deciding top of the 11th inning. As I mentioned, Drew Gilbert's single was the extent of San Francisco's offense pretty much over the course of the first 10 innings. I believe Willy Adames also drew a walk in, I believe, his first at bat of the afternoon or his second at bat of the afternoon. But going into that top of the 11th inning, the Giants just had not mustered any meaningful offense. In the top of the 10th, they were able to put a runner on third with one out. We're not able to push that across. But what ends up unfolding in the top of the 11th inning is just this 5-run outburst where the Giants are able to put away the game, essentially. Gerard Encarnacion flips a single in a center field that drives in Matt Chapman, who's the automatic runner. Christian Koss laces a 2-run double, 2-run bases-loaded double to left center field, the loudest, biggest hit of the afternoon. Grant McCray, who hadn't had an at-bat in more than a month, flips a sacrifice fly to left field. Rafael Devers contributes an RBI single, and the Giants end up with a very decisive 5-run inning, a very emphatic 5-run inning. They're able to win this game 5-1 and, continue keeping their very slim playoff hopes still alive. I didn't check Fangraphs before I came down here, and the Mets are still playing the Padres right now. That game is currently in progress, so we'll kind of have to see how things kind of shake out with that. If the Mets are to lose, that means the Giants will be 2 games back of the Mets. Technically 3 because of the tiebreaker. If the Mets win, that means they're 3 games back. And again, with the tiebreaker, that technically means 4. So now this sets up a very decisive 4-game series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. From my understanding, the way that the Dodgers probables are going to line up, it's pretty much going to be a carbon copy of the rotation that the Giants saw in San Francisco, that being Yoshinobu Yamamoto on Thursday, Clayton Kershaw on Friday, Tyler Glasnow on Saturday, and Emmett Sheehan on Sunday. It kind of looked like Shohei Ohtani was going to line up to pitch on Sunday after pitching 5 no-hit innings yesterday on Tuesday, but Emmett Sheehan is going to be the one to pitch on Sunday, so the Giants kind of dodge Ohtani on the mound. Of course, they will still have to deal with him at the plate, and in a sense, this is pretty much the season right here. This 4-game set right here is pretty much the season. I don't know the exact odds that Fangraphs has or Baseball Reference has, but both of those odds in regards to the Giants have really cratered over the course of the last couple days. I know that after yesterday in particular, they dropped all the way to 1.6. So it is really going to take this complete and total confluence of events for everything to break right for the Giants to have any shot of making the postseason. And part of that is going to hinge on Justin Verlander, as he did today, continuing to do what he's done pretty much since the beginning of the second half.